Good morning, YouTube. Reseller Mom here with Tina, and we're here to do some live Q&A and go through past questions. And if you have questions, good morning, Tina. How are you?
Lucy, good.
That's it.
It's just windy out today. It's so windy here today. We had a few days of non-wind, but it was 100 degrees out. So now the temperature is better, but it's windy.
Well, that is Vegas for you. We had a windy day here too. My office internet reset. So luckily we kept power. We don't get the wind that Vegas does for sure.
Yeah.
So good morning. What do you got on your to-do list for today?
Well, today we have a shipment that we got to prepare after you and I are done here talking. And then I'm probably just going to do my bills and paperwork today. I usually do that on the weekend, but I have my aunt coming in from Lake Tahoe this weekend. So I'm going to do my paperwork ahead of time because I just like to get that monkey off my back. And I do paperwork weekly. So that way it doesn't ever get too out of hand. And it's just one of those disciplined things I do.
Yeah, Friday's my day. I go through, or try to. It's been a little hard while moving, but I go through my QuickBooks and do my mileage. I file stuff around the office, and then we have our spreadsheets where we put all our numbers into.
Yeah.
So I'll see if I get to that.
I always like to get that one last shipment out on a Friday, though, since they don't pick up on Saturdays or Sundays. I just feel like I want to get that last push out.
They will pick up on Saturdays.
Well, we drop off, so the trucks don't come and pick up at our drop-off location on Saturdays.
Yeah. I've got to get a bunch out today. I see stacks and stacks of things racked in the office, but it needs to go out. So we are going to dive into questions. I got them pulled up on my other screen here. And the first one from Drummer, who I recognize that that person? I don't know. Talking about for using Amazon to Amazon ungating.
Yes.
He says, I have a seller and Prime account. When trying to set up the business account, I'm asked if I want to convert my Prime to business. Should I go with a separate business account instead of converting? Yes. Do you agree? I have a separate.
I don't have a regular Prime account. I only have an Amazon business account. So that's all I have. I think you have to pay for both.
Yeah, it's definitely a payment for both.
Yeah, so I don't have Amazon Prime for personal. I only have Amazon business. That's the only account I have.
Right, but your seller account is then linked to your business Prime?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, so I guess you can do either. Mine is linked to my regular Prime. My seller account email is the same as my Prime regular purchasing login.
Right, and we do all of our purchases through our Amazon business account. That's just all that we use. Now I do understand the benefit to having, your personal Amazon Prime, of course, is you can have the TV, the Amazon Prime, movies and TV. With Amazon Business, you don't get those perks.
Yeah, I get, I buy a lot of books on there. We watch the Prime, and we just do a lot of family purchasing between the four of us. So it for us, it makes sense to have both, but I guess for business-wise, you do not have to have both.
Right.
But my business does write off both because I do, and maybe I should switch. I do all of my ordering through my regular account. I should probably do that through my Prime account.
Yeah, I order very little personal things on Amazon, believe it or not. Here I am a seller, and I do get a little bit, but most all of my Amazon purchases are business related. Getting my tape, my bags and stickers and things like that. I buy all of that through my Amazon account.
Yeah. I was just thinking, like, I bought a lot of poly bags this last week, polybags, tape, craft paper for void fill, and I buy that all on my Amazon Prime account, but I'm paying taxes for it. If I want to buy something to resell, I buy it over on my business account.
But why would you pay taxes on your business expenses like your bags and tapes?
Because you're supposed to.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Why
the
are you
the way my CPA
sets on? Huh?
Yeah, the way my CPA sets it up is that stuff gets paid, gets taxed.
Like, to me, that's a business expense. I don't know.
I'm going to have to ask her on that because polybags, maybe they should be polybags and like FBA labels. I'm going to email her that. That is, where's my notes? I got little notes.
Because it's part of the sale. I mean, to me, the item that you're selling is going in the poly bag. To me, it's all part of it.
Yeah,
But
no, she has me do boxes like that.
I'm wrong. Like if somebody out there watching knows, I mean, correct me.
Yeah, no, she has me do boxes like that. Like if I'm boxing a cup into a box and that box is going to the customer, that's written off. She might just line item and then put it on the
Yeah.
do something with it. So I'm going to have to ask her because that's a very good question. Because then I might start doing it that way.
It's and we used to have a regular Amazon Prime account, but I thought, why pay for both? And we watch my son's Amazon Prime on our TV because he has his Amazon Prime. So, I mean, it's just what we do.
All right. Another question on the same video. And this is again, a video that I did on Amazon to Amazon on gating. And Ricardo asks, when I go to my orders and I see a printable order summary, is that the same as the invoice? If not, where do I get the invoice from? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Do you remember? It's in your orders and you print out your order. I thought it was called invoice, but is it called order summary?
I would have to log into my Amazon account to, if you want to hold on here, I'll go over.
Yeah, because I'd have to log out of mine and then log in.
Yeah, I'll log in over here and I'll take a peek at what it, but to me, order summary, I think that sounds right. It's not all of your orders. It's just the single order, I'm guessing. It would be helpful if I logged into regular Amazon and not my seller account. You just go on autopilot to just go into Amazon Seller Central.
Yeah. There we go. I'll just read this comment from Resell Ryan. He just hands his hazmat boxes directly to the UPS dude outside his UPS store when he collects the store packages at the end of the day at 5:30. Interesting. I wonder if I could do that because my UPS store is like adamant that they no longer accept any hazmat shippings because UPS took that responsibility off the stores. Apparently they were getting like hammered with hazmat and regulations and stuff. So they said now all that stuff has to go through the hub. And that's my state though. I'm in Washington. I thought it would be nationwide, but maybe it's not. Or maybe he's just got a good rapport with his Amazon dude. Because I know my Amazon guy that picked up at the house, like he would totally take a hazmat package at the end of the day when he's going back to the hub for me.
And it is printable order summary. That is in fact the invoice.
All
when
right.
you that it pulls up your invoice that you can now print out or save to a PDF file so you can annotate it.
Excellent. Yeah, printable order summary. That's such garb. It's just so Amazon. Like instead of just saying invoice, they got to say printable order summary.
Yeah.
Sharon asks, curious what those Funko Pop boxes are. Do you buy the clear plastic protectors to ship them to FBA? Yes. That is what I showed I was looking over my supplies in a vlog, and it is a clear plastic container that you ship Funko Pops in. Whatever you are like researching on what you want to sell, you need to like do a little bit of research on how to pack it. If you're going to get into clothing, watch a few videos on how to pack clothing. If you're going to get into breakables, watch a few videos on how to do breakables. If you're going to do Funko Pops, don't just go to Ross, buy something, and then slap an FBA label on it and send it in. Funkos are like collector type items. It really helps if you put them in some sort of protection. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with a whole bunch of bad feedback and upset customers. You're going to get IP claims. And if you purchase at Ross or Marshalls or whatnot, those are a little harder to fight than, invoices and whatnot. So if you're going to start selling any of that stuff, makeup, if you're going to start doing eyeshadow, learn how to pack eyeshadow because these all have little nuances to them that you could really just do a couple tweaks to your packing.
I have one here, and it came to me already when I got it from the supplier. It already came plastic wrapped in this hard plastic.
Oh, nice.
When I ordered it. but we just got him for us, so he's not one that we've sold. But I've bought them before where they're not in these cases, and I have shipped them in to Amazon. I haven't sold a lot of Funko Pops. I don't know. I just don't enjoy sourcing them, and I have a hard time personally finding really profitable ones. But
Yep.
I did not buy them and put them in a plastic case. I boxed them though. I just put them in a box that was the size that they fit in, a cardboard box, and put my label on the outside of the box. So I was not aware they were supposed to be in a plastic.
No, the plastic ones are just cheaper than boxes.
Oh, I see.
And it's a little bit more, it's a little nicer presented.
Yeah, if they're cheaper to put in the plastic, well, my gosh, that even looks fancier and more high end than a cardboard box. I didn't realize that they were cheaper than cardboard boxes.
Yeah, you can get a pack. I haven't sourced them in forever, but I just got a pack of them on Amazon for the couple of Funkos I find. And usually when you are like sourcing Funkos, like you said, they're hard to find. It's hard to find profitable. And I'm usually finding for $10, $15 and selling them for what, like 40, $50 for special ones.
And then those are good.
and you don't want to have those returned and be out your $10, $15 and not have that $50 sale. So it's worth I don't know, like 50 cents for a protector case.
Yeah.
Somebody's requesting a slides for variations. I will work on that. All in all, like, I'll just say a blurb about that. Variations on Amazon and getting Amazon to work has been very difficult and not standard. So I have one listing that I made, and it got an error in it because it changed my brand from generic to unknown. And it took about 2 phone calls, about 5 different emails on a case to get the brand to get changed from unknown to generic. And they kept giving me this email saying, you can't change the brand. Sometimes we put brands, we'll change the brand name to line up with it. So, if you have Star Wars with a space and, Star Wars without a space, we'll consolidate. And I'm like, that's not what happened here. You changed it. I didn't change it from generic to unknown. And finally they did that. They fixed it yesterday. I was so excited. Then I went in and I wanted to change the title. I'm watching a lot of videos on titles and building, and we're playing with some programs, Tina and I. Anyhow, so I went in to go change the title, and the title would not update. So it says it was updating, but it wouldn't update now that the error was fixed. So finally I went over today and I used the help section in Amazon, and I was able to get the title changed through that way. So variations and bundles, I can do a blanket how-to, but then there's like a whole nother section on how to fix the mess ups that Amazon
I
does.
made a video on how to add or how to do a variation listing. I don't know exactly what it is that they're wanting to know how to do.
I had just like described some things on a blog versus screenshots. So
I actually saw that video last week, but I did make a video on how to create a listing, a variation listing on Amazon on my channel.
So we need to do a video on how to add a variation to an existing one, using the wizard. That's a video that either you can do or I can do, or we both can do, or we can do jointly. We'll talk about it later. All right. Ashley asks, can you explain what happens when Amazon ships a replacement item for $0? Why does this happen? I didn't get a return for that item. Will I get reimbursed? Do I need to open a case? It's happened a few times. You will eventually get reimbursed. It's not a full reimbursement, and it's buried. It's hard to find, but you do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tina.
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out where you're seeing the questions. So I came
on
over
my
here
YouTube channel under comments.
Oh, okay. I'm looking over here on the side. I'm like, where are these questions? So
I would, but
so I zoned out for a moment as I'm like, where are the people asking?
No comments yet. For items that get sent out as replacement items, you do get reimbursed for that.
I'm not sure. I think it depends on what the reason is that it's getting replaced for. So I'm not 100% confident on that. I do have a company that handles all of those things for me. So I don't really do those myself.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. Reason code reimburse.
Like
We'll go
for
into another question, but I'm going to read
item not arrived, like if it were lost, I'm under the impression that you do get reimbursed for those. If it's damaged, I'm not 100% sure that that's the case. Like if it was something that was damaged or faulty, let's say it's a toy that's, voice activated and the sound box doesn't work. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, this one says does not accept responsibility, will not reimburse you for damaged by customers, but I know that they do some. They do.
They do.
They do. Okay, hold on. Let me share this page real quick. Share screen. It's so hard because it's like they sometimes do, they sometimes don't. It's okay. So we've got field, online header description, free replacement reasons. Oh, that's just free replacement reasons. That wasn't very helpful. Okay, we will investigate and get back because it's not a blanket yes or no question, unfortunately. It's got a little bit more to it. And when I researched this a couple of days ago, I was looking at something and there was some information about it, but I want to say you do, but it's a partial reimbursement.
Yeah, because Amazon doesn't even follow their own rules a lot of times. I had to go round and round with Amazon on a Squishmallow that the customer got a refund for because they no longer wanted it. It was a merchant fulfilled one. So I got the item back, but Amazon had on their end given the customer a full refund before I even got the item back. When I got it back, there was an ink pen marking on the Squishmallow. I opened up the case with Amazon, showing them the item was returned, damaged, and Amazon went round and round with me, and I ended up getting a 50% refund back from Amazon. Yet, I've bought cases like that before where I've got the item back damaged, and Amazon granted me the full refund, even though Amazon's policy states that you're refunded for items like that. The customer gets it, they damage it, and then they just want to return it for a full refund. So Amazon is hit and miss with following their own policies. Same like I had a customer return. It was a item for Halloween. They returned it a year later. A year later, Amazon gave them a full refund, put it back into my inventory, and it was a listing that had been deleted out of my account, so it was stuck in my stranded inventory. I opened up a case with Amazon, and they still cited that the customer could return it a year later. That's so far beyond Amazon's policy. I copy and pasted Amazon's policy, took a screenshot of Amazon's policy in my case to Amazon, and still could not win that case. So it's even hit or miss with Amazon following it. I suppose in this case, as you want to, hire your Amazon lawyer to fight it for you, but really, is it worth paying a lawyer for a $12.99 thing? I do not know what happened to Lucy. It looks like we lost her. So it's just me and you guys. And I am going to have to exit my full screen in case anyone has questions. Oh, it looks like she's back. So I can see you there. There you are. I don't know what happened to you. And now you sound like a chipmunk. Alvin, Simon, Theodore. She calls me sometimes from her office, and I have to tell her that on the phone that, hey, you sound like a chipmunk.
All right, how about now?
Now you sound like Lucy.
It did the same thing yesterday, and I don't know if it's an equipment issue or what, but I will have my IT manager get on it ASAP, which is my husband, by the way. While you were talking, I found answers, and I shared the link to where I'm looking at right here in the chat. So if you need to go and look it up, you can. So here is their reimbursement policy. To be eligible, here's what you need to do. It needs to be registered as FBA, complies with requirements, sent the exact items, blah, blah, blah. Claims, your item is eligible under the policy if they have not already reimbursed you. So that's the hard part. That's why we use third-party services to go look this up, because you can only claim within after so many days, and then it has to make sure that you haven't already received the claim, the reimbursement. It's they make you jump through hoops. And then
hired VAs to do this for them. I go through one of the companies because then you have to hire your VA to do it. I just prefer to have, there's so many good companies out here that handle these things for you. To me, it's just not worth my time. I got too many other things I have to do.
Right. And I'm on Seller Bench. You use, who's your company? Do you remember?
I do, but since you said Seller Bench, it's like, yeah, Seller Bench. No, I don't use Seller Bench. I am drawing a total blank. It'll come to me when I quit thinking about it.
All right. So the way they calculate reimbursement, the median price in which you have sold the item over the last 18 months, or what other sellers have done, or, they got like 4 different ways they can calculate how much they can give you. So it's not an easy, like, okay, I sold this for $50 and it cost me 20. I'm going to get $20 back, or I'm going to get $50 back. It's a calculation, and probably not in our favor.
Yeah, I use Seller Locker. I know they both start with Seller. Yeah. Yep. So I've been using Seller Locker for several years.
And I have Seller Bench. Both are good. I mean, flip a coin. I don't think either. They both do the same thing. And there's several others out there. But get yourself on one, and what they do is they go after all these claims for you, and they run all of the software to go pull and put it together, and then they just charge you like 25% of whatever they get back. And so it's worth it to not go through and have to do all that. They've done lots of stuff for me. I love it how I get a spammer that comments, and then they have bots that come in and do all sorts of comments about some sort of, it was crypto or stocks or something. Thank you. That helps my channel up. I don't really care if you sit here and comment about stock, whatever. Some of the bras seem to not have sizes on the listing. Do we just assume that the UPC code is sized?
I have two answers for that question.
Okay.
If some of the sizes are not on the variation, it could be because they're out of stock, but they are really there in the back end. Mm-hmm. So you have to know a little bit more advanced Amazon skills. So if you know how to go into Variation Wizard, sometimes you can find your size and variation in Variation Wizard. Otherwise, it could just be a matter of that you need to add it to that variation. If you are approved to create listings for that brand, you can also go into Variation Wizard, where I have a video on how to go in there, and you can add that size, color and size in Variation Wizard to populate it to that listing.
Yep. What she said. So somebody was asking about annotating your invoice. I don't understand how to underwrite the missing address and phone number in the invoice. What address, Amazon address, manually, phone, etc. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can physically print out the invoice, go over to your printer, get a highlighter, get a pen, highlight the information Amazon's asking for, write in whatever address they're asking for. So if it's Amazon, go to Google, type in what is Amazon's address, and it will give you some sort of address that's in Seattle and a phone number, and you write that in. Same with any company out there. If I wanted to write Nestle Toll House's address, I would go to Google and I say, where's corporate Nestle Toll House, and write that address on the invoice. The other way is I just open the PDF, and the PDF allows you, at least on my computer, I think it's just like Adobe, allows you to edit. And in that edit, you can add a text field. And in that text field, I write in blue, and I just type in Nestle Toll House, 123 Main Street, and phone number, 1234, and highlight with their highlighter and annotate it digitally. What you don't want to do is try to manipulate your invoice, because they will look for certain Photoshop things. And this was more predominant. I haven't seen it in any of the news stuff for many years, but back in, I'd say 2018 maybe, there was a lot of people who would get an invoice and then share it among groups. And I actually know somebody who did that, and I'm like, no, 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 don't do that, because all they would do was then Photoshop in people's addresses. So like I would buy it and then I'd be like, Tina, here's my invoice, and Tina would go and Photoshop in Tina's thing, and then
Wow.
they were
And then you have
calling.
the same invoice number on all of them.
Yep. So they
And
run.
they'll ask for the credit card, like all the things. Oh my gosh.
So they will call your supplier to verify
Yes.
that that's a purchase, and they do run, or at least I've been told. I don't know. I don't work there, but I've been told that they run software that looks for those types of flags, and anybody who was caught in that sharing invoice was like shut down, and a hard shutdown, like
Yeah.
a shutdown you ain't coming back from shutdown. It's really, really difficult. You're going to be needing a lawyer at that point, and a really good lawyer to try and fight that. But yeah,
I
there was
people doing that. That's just blows my mind.
yeah, and it was I don't know if it was a YouTuber or somebody with a like a website or something, but they were like, we can get you ungated for Nike for $3 million or $3,000 or whatever, and people would buy it and they'd
What they
send
were
them an
doing.
invoice and how to doctor it.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my
Wow.
god.
I do know that Amazon will call randomly.
Mhm.
Not every person do they check with the supplier, but one of my suppliers, I was talking to him on the phone about that, and I said, Amazon. I've heard that Amazon may call your suppliers. Do they just say that, or do they actually take the time to call you? Because I just found that unbelievable. He says, "Oh yeah," he says, "I have had calls
Yep.
asking if this, was a legitimate invoice purchase and so on." So he confirmed it himself, one of my suppliers, and I was like, well, good to know. And good to know that I was always doing it the right way.
The other thing I saw, I think it was yesterday, maybe on the Hustle Buddies Facebook group, I can't remember, but somebody did a purchase, and this was a good question to bring up, but somebody did a purchase and they didn't put the same name that was on their seller account. And I don't know how different. I don't know if they ordered in, a completely different name or just different address. And they did a purchase with an invoice to try and get ungated, and then they were worried because the information wasn't going to line up. It wasn't going to show exactly what was on their seller account. And two people said, yeah, go ahead, it should work just fine, you have enough of the other things that line up. And two people were like, nah, it probably is not going to work. I think it would really just depend on which information is different. If
Yeah.
I'm Lucy and I go and I say, oh, my name is Tina, then that might be a flag. But if Tina is maybe somebody that's under my account as a purchaser, it would work. So I don't know. I don't know what was, if your name is Nathaniel and you order something under Nate, that should be okay.
Yeah, I would
But
think so.
the thing is I would still try. Like, don't give up. Keep trying. Try with that invoice, and if you get kicked back 2 or 3 times, then maybe
Yeah.
cut your losses and get another one. Good morning, Jose. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see here. Hey, ladies, I love your videos. For proof of authenticity for FBA, does it matter if I ship my items to my house instead of my business PO? If eventually they ask for a receipt, should I modify my Amazon address? I have all my returns go to my PO, and my address publicly is my PO, and all my shipments now go to the office. So in Amazon, like I have 3, actually I haven't added my business address to anything on Amazon, but I don't think it really matters. You can have multiple addresses.
Yeah, I just think Amazon has to be aware of those addresses. I
Mhm.
have 2 Amazon addresses associated with my Amazon selling account, and I have submitted invoices for ungating that show either one of those addresses on my invoice. But again, they're both registered and associated with Amazon.
Yep.
As far as a PO box goes, as long as Amazon has that address in their system, I'm guessing it's okay. I personally don't use a PO box, but I do know back when people's addresses became public information in your Amazon store, a lot of people switched to having their business address be a PO box. And
That
so that's the address that shows. So I'm guessing it would be okay.
there's a couple different spots in your seller account on where you can put in addresses, and one is your public storefront address. And somebody posted the other day that somebody went in there and changed that to just all underlining underlines, so it just shows up as lines,
Mhm.
which is interesting. I don't know if they're going to get in trouble for that or not, but my address for public is in one spot, and then there's another spot for other addresses, like where do you want your tax information to go and things like that. And
Yeah.
I take it back, my new address is associated because all of my FBA shipments ship out from here, and all my returns are onto this address. So as long as it's associated somewhere in your account, you should be just fine.
Yeah. And I think the biggest part is making sure that you're using your credit card or debit card that's associated with your business checking account that's attached to Amazon. You want it to be that account. That for sure is always important to do.
I will say with that, on the flip side, you want to make sure that you're not associated with any bad addresses. My mother's account got hacked, and she just has like a Prime account, but somebody took over her old address because they saw the sale of her house and used her address and her name to set up an overnight Amazon shop and sell fake stereo equipment. And so I called, and I was like, I go to my mom's, and I've shipped from my mom's, and that address is associated with my account, and I don't want my account associated with my fraudulent mother. They notated my account so that I make sure that I don't get shut down if I connect to her Wi-Fi or get associated with her place. So
Yeah.
be aware of that, because I know a lot of people use third-party packing centers or whatnot. And if, let's say, you ship to a third-party packing center and all of a sudden that address gets associated with fraud, you could have a whole bunch of accounts shut down, and they should be able to answer questions about that. I don't use one, so I don't know the ins and outs and how they would address that or be whatever with it. But it crossed my mind.
I used a prep center once. It was the worst experience I ever had. And that's when I started going back to doing it myself.
Mhm.
But I know people that use them that are happy with them. I just think that I picked a bad egg. And so I had a bad first experience.
It could be. I have enough trouble with just watching people pack that I just can't. And my packers are really good. I mean, they're really good, but they do make mistakes. I had an item that they sent out, and instead of being a small, they marked it as extra small. So they, tagged it wrong, and I had to recall about 80 of those. And so, slip ups happen. And I just think they would be much more predominant in a third party system. Jose follows up with, I'm begging. I'm begging. I'm going to say that's beginning.
Beginning.
I beg OA places too. Just
He's
please
beginning.
please don't send me broken stuff.
My guess is, though, Jose, when you opened up your Amazon seller account, you had to use your real address.
Yeah.
Because you have to use your driver's license or utility bill. It's been so many years I forget, but I know when you're opening your account, you have to show proof of where you reside. So I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. You should be good. And if you move and whatnot, you're going to have different addresses. It's just make sure they know about it. Mother Teresa asks, quick question about meltables. If stuff doesn't sell out, what happens to it? Amazon will dispose of it? ? Can I have the items recalled? This is my first change of season since selling last February. I'm not quite sure what to do. I've lowered all my prices on some holiday candies, but they still aren't moving. Someone should advertise cheap candy on Amazon, because I'm sure I'm not the only one.
I have a few thoughts on that one.
Oh, go for it.
When the item is meltable, as far as what does Amazon do with it, if you don't pull it out of your account, they're going to automatically ship it back to you. Um, to me, if you still have Christmas candy at Amazon, it's must not fall under the meltable because it's already like hard candies or whatever. You can keep them there, but you've already had them there so long. What you're paying in storage fees monthly to have it there, I would imagine at this point you're losing money on it. You might as well pull it. So things that are if it's a holiday candy that's no longer moving and it's sitting there, meltable or not, pull it out. I mean, if it's something that you can eat or give away, have it shipped back to your house. If you know you don't want it, it was a price tanker, it's not even worth your time, also put in a removal order, but choose for Amazon to liquidate it or dispose of it. If they liquidate it, you get a small, tiny percent of money that they give you. If you have it disposed of, you pay a 20-cent fee per item. If you have it returned and shipped back to you, you're paying 50 cents per item. So you evaluate which ones are going to fit your needs. Some candies have a long expiration date. Like you could have had candy canes this year. They're still going to be good through next Christmas because they have a long shelf life. And so those might be worth shipping back to you and then sending in again next year for Christmas. But those are my various thoughts on pulling inventory, candy or not, meltable or not.
I agree. And I've had things where it's like it's garbage, and instead of paying the 20 cents or the 50 cents to dispose or return, I would rather you get like 10 cents on a liquidation. It's
Right,
really
just
minuscule, but at least you're not paying.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom line. I do know people that will get things recalled and then do like a garage sale or something with their recalls.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some candy, meltable Hershey Kiss packs. You get a couple different flavors and it's a bundle item. Amazon, for whatever reason, didn't check in some of my stuff that I sent in November until like March. I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't know what happened to it. It got lost. It got stuck on a train. I don't know what happened to it. Anyhow, by the time those chocolates got checked in, it was pretty much done. So they just turned around and sent it to me. I got one back yesterday. So now we are eating Hershey Kisses in the office, and there's not much I can really do about it because they're not going to.
Oh, darn. You must hate eating those Hershey Kisses too.
The mint ones are actually pretty good.
I loved that when it was meltables, and some things are miscategorized. I don't know if it's categorized or the way that the listing was created.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some things that don't fall can I buy a vowel, fall under meltable when they in fact are. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one of my candy items definitely was a meltable. It was an Easter chocolate candy. Everybody was pulling theirs out of inventory. I thought, you know what? I'm going to let it ride and see how long I can get away with keeping this in here. So it was great because everyone pulled their inventory. There was like me and two other sellers. Man, I blew out of that candy like 2 weeks after Easter, and for like the top dollar price. I didn't lower mine at all, and I sold all of it, and I was thrilled. So that one I got kind of lucky on.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, like even if it doesn't get categorized as meltables, I will pull back or not send in any more during the summertime, especially for things like chapstick or lipstick. I'm okay letting it ride probably till maybe the end of May, but I'm not going to replenish it over the summer either because you're just
Right.
asking for a bunch of issues over the summer.
Yeah, lipstick, any of that, because some people they live in states that aren't extremely hot, but you know, if somebody like me is buying it here in Las Vegas and I get it, believe you me, in the summer, it will melt sitting out in my mailbox.
Yep. Okay, let me see if we got any more questions. If you guys have any questions in the chat, please go ahead and put them now. I'm going through trying to make sure where we left off last time, where things are. Somebody talks about IPI score It's just 211. What should I, how should I bring it to safe limits?
Well, when you click on your IPI score number, when you click on that number, it is going to open up um, like a little graph bar. I think there are 4 different categories: your stock limit, your turnover ratio. There's 4 different categories, and you will see which one of those is in the green, the yellow, or the red. So they tell you what area you're struggling in. My in-stock rate is always in the red, and so that one doesn't count as much against you. They count against you in the order they are on Amazon. So the 2 most important ones is your turnover rate. So if your score is that low, my guess is that you have a lot of inventory that's been sitting at Amazon a long time. It's getting into the 90-day and higher range. And so you need to reevaluate having that inventory there at Amazon. You need to consider lowering the price, or you need to pull that item out of your inventory, have it shipped back to you, and just list it merchant fulfilled. Because that turnover rate, not only that, going back to what I said earlier, you are paying storage fees monthly. So let's say your profit on that item was going to be $3. And every month that you're letting it sit there and you're paying storage fees on it, depending what size category it is, you maybe have now paid $4 in storage fees. So by the time you sold it, you're still in the negative for that item. So pull it, and that will raise your IPI score up, or sell it, AKA maybe you have to lower your price to get it to move. And those are going to be the top 2 things to get that IPI higher.
Very true. Very true. I have finally started getting mine. Mine was on a downward for a couple of weeks, and I finally got it to go on an upward. Clear out,
down,
close or delete any listings you're not
yes.
deleting if you're not going to replenish. Close if you may replenish again later. That's also something that can help.
Yeah, I know mine's gotten low. Mine's down in 500. I think it was like 571 or something this morning. But I have a ton of out of stock inventory. And then I did delete 125 listings this morning.
Yeah, I deleted over 100 last night, but my score is like 415. So I'm like getting close to that bottom. So I need to go in and maintain and whatnot.
Yeah, and I let mine slide for a little bit too, but that is a chore that or task, depending, is it a chore or a task that I do monthly. And I did let it slide. So it's been over a month since I have gone in there and done some account cleanup, just because May has been a crazy month for me.
Jose's got 2 questions. First one I'm going to put up here is, if you delete items from Seller Central, do they delete automatically from Inventory Lab? Yes, Inventory Lab will sync with your American inventory count. And unfortunately, Inventory Lab cannot pull NARF sales, but the inventory count will be pulled and corrected. So like I have a bunch of flags because it's like Inventory Lab, is showing, and it's like, oh, your old Inventory Lab, number shows 10 and Amazon's showing 8. For P&Ls and for reports and everything, it pulls and just goes off of what Amazon says your inventory is. And you can go in and correct that, but I don't, because I don't see any need to. All the numbers that I need are going to be pulled off of the actual Amazon numbers. I hope that answers your question.
Still see your past sales of that item. So like if you delete the item in Seller Central, so there's items I've deleted that I sold last year, 2 years ago. But when I go into my Inventory Lab and I want to look at what did I sell in the month of May in 2018, those deleted listings still show up in my sales history. So, and I'm glad that they do, because sometimes I've deleted an item and I'm like, oh crap, what was that ASIN? Where was it? And you can still find it in Inventory Lab in that way. He also had asked about using a spreadsheet.
Yep, I was going to roll into that one.
Oh, okay.
Do you ladies use a spreadsheet or unlisted section of Inventory Lab when doing OA's orders to track purchasing costs? I put them into a batch. So I absolutely hate the unlisted section of Inventory Lab.
Yeah.
I find that it is not working. A lot of times you need to put in expiration dates, and I don't know the expiration date because I don't have it yet. So I just make a batch. So let's say I'm shopping at Target. I will create a batch called Target. And as I'm buying items or replenishing, once my order is final, I go and I put them in there, and I will adjust, like if I'm doing freight. So this week I had say $1,000 pallet order and they're charging 300 in freight. I will go through and calculate what that equates to each item or each ASIN and then add in the freight. So maybe the item was $2 plus 43 cents in freight. So in Inventory Lab, my batch will have the $2.43. And then my batches are all lined up. So when that comes in, my workers or myself can see that, okay, these are here, and just print out labels and go.
Mm-hmm. I do the same thing. I just create batches in an Inventory Lab. Sometimes I do it real organized by store or supplier. Sometimes I just have like one giant batch with all the things I'm waiting for. I always have 2 to 3 batches in there in Inventory Lab that are items I'm waiting for, or items I know or want to replenish. Like when I'm going through my account monthly and cleaning it up and seeing, did I miss any replens that I let get out of stock? Just those things that we sometimes overlook. And I'm like, oh yeah, I want to make sure I remember to get those. I have like this fake batch where I'll put in, the napkins that I got at Walmart, in the batch because I really just want to replenish it. And sometimes they're now out of stock at Walmart. So maybe I'm just waiting to see if I can find them again or if they're going to come back in stock. So yeah, I use Inventory Lab fake batches that just sit there all the time for various things. It's great for that.
Now, we do use a lot of Google Sheets for other things. When we are building bundles, when we have all our replens are in there, all of our supplier finds are in there. So we also have it in Google Sheets as well. So it's
Categorized by store. Yeah,
yes.
store or supplier.
And it's huge. It's a very massive document now that we've been working on it for years. And it's kind of nice because, things may be great and money makers, but then all of a sudden now they're not. And then you go 6 months and then now it's back in style, or, it went TikTok famous or whatever. And you want to go back and look at it. And it helps me and her share because we share our finds. And so, if I found new replens at Target, they're going to be on the Target sheet that we have so that, we can do that. And that's really great for seasonal stuff. Once Halloween starts coming up and we're going out and we're scanning Halloween candy, if I find 3 new bolos, they're going to go on that Target sheet. So then Tina can log in and see what were those bolos.
And then we also have a small bolo group that we share a lot of this stuff with too.
Very true.
And it's not a paid bolo group. It's just a group of Amazon friends that we made. And we share some things with each other for free. So that's kind of nice too if you make a few friends that you want to do that with.
Mm-hmm. I think that's about it. Somebody asks if Alibaba counts as a distributor for Squishmallow, but I think we already answered that in a previous video. No, Alibaba will not count for an invoice for anything, in my opinion. Do you have any insight to that? Do you have any contradictory information?
No, I agree with you. Do not ever try to buy off of Alibaba to use for ungating, ever. If you want to private label something, sure, but also make sure that it's not something that is already a trademarked thing, because oftentimes on Alibaba, they will sell trademarked type of things to you when they shouldn't be, but because they're not regulated and controlled like we are in the United States, there you go. And if you are trying to private label things off of Alibaba that that you can do, you also want to make sure that the factory can give you supporting paperwork should it be an item that needs documentation for hazmat, safety, beauty products. That's a whole nother topic and video though. But no, for ungating, no.
All right, and then this will be the last question of the day. When sending into FBA, if you have shampoo or mouthwash, etc., do you just send it into a poly bag, or would you send each item in a small cardboard box? And
It
then
depends. I know a lot of sellers that will only use a cardboard box, and that's going to always be great because you're never going to have to worry about items leaking or spilling out when it is a liquid. However, I have sent quite a few in poly bags. Ugh, depending what the type of item is that could spill out, and I use these. It's this sticker. It's called the gripper, and then this goes, oh, you peel it off, and this goes over, say, the lid of a bottle of shampoo, for instance. And I have sold lots of shampoos and conditioners, only polybagging them, putting this over the lid to make sure it stays in place. And knock on wood, I have never once had a return or a complaint for an item arriving spilled or leaked out in the bag. But certainly boxing it is a great alternative.
yes, I agree with that. Um, trying to see if I can share this really quick. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Uh, if you are like just starting off and you don't have gripper tape and you don't have boxes or whatnot, you can get away with a poly bag depending on the size and everything. You're going to want to make sure you pack your FBA boxes well. I have also heard of people just using this right here, which is it's got like that tape that's got the little strings in it, and using that to secure things. Also, masking tape, blue painter's tape, etc. Others have used and said that it's been fine. In terms of customer, like what the customer thinks of receiving your item, I feel the gripper is kind of the very posh, nice, like nobody's going to complain because it comes off easy, doesn't leave sticky residue. It's the more professional look to it. But if you're just starting off and needing something a little, you just need something. I have heard people use just 2-inch box tape. I think that's probably the most tackiest. Then the next step up would be the masking tape, blue painter's tape. The next would be this tape with string, and then the most professional would be the gripper tape. Um, it's all about the customer experience. So if you're going to get a lot of customer complaints and returns, then did you really save any money?
Right.
We've got a couple questions here we'll knock out real quick. Jose had said Frontier Co-op for ungating. Yep, Frontier Co-op will get you ungated. I think you can do health, beauty, and food. Definitely food there. For Tamara, to ungate and Squishmallow, should we look for a listing that says Squishmallow or Squishmallows? Single, I believe.
And what you need to do is whatever it is, it has to be one that you're restricted in.
Yeah.
And so, and then when you use the supplier, you want to make sure that there is an existing listing on Amazon that you are gated in.
And I'm wondering if, let's say you had the same item listed under Squishmallows and Squishmallow, if you could use one invoice to ungate for both. I don't know if they'd be that particular when looking over the invoice.
Yeah, I don't know.
But technically, the correct term is without the S at the end. If you look at the tags on a Squishmallow, it is single. It is not plural. But I do know that they've created a new brand with the plural, and some people can list under it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ungated for that. Do I have any videos on how to ship dangerous goods or hazmat? Yeah, I just did a vlog last week. It should have been live just a couple days ago. I think if it hasn't come out, it will come out, or it did come out this week. I haven't checked. But basically now the video that I did was on the UPS part of it. To actually ship the items, I wrap mine in tissue paper and then put it in a poly bag and use gripper tape. So let's say it's a bottle of hairspray. I will take a single a gripper tape over the top or around the bottle. And then I roll it in tissue paper, then stick that in a poly bag. It goes into a box. It's supposed to stand up, but I don't always follow that rule. And then on the outside of the box, you now just need the diamond, and you have to ship it ground, and you have to go to a UPS hub. But I can put a video that's a little bit nicer to get there. And he says Squishmallow needs to be the brand you're applying for.
Yeah.
it's just like, other things out there. I've seen a lot of creative brands like Marvel. There's a Marvel comic, there's a Marvel Disney, there's a bunch of brands that have Marvel in the name.
Yeah.
So make sure it lines up with what you want to get ungated for. But good questions. All right, I don't have anything else, I don't think. I think that catches us all up. The rest of this is all just things that I need to go through and make sure I haven't manually added my responses, because I get done with these and I'm like, and I got work to do now. And then
Yeah, I'm looking at boxes right there that got to get out today. It's an easy shipment, though. You got to
Right.
leave those easy ones, those case packs, slap a sticker on the item. No poly bagging, no nothing, just super easy.
I've got to get things packed up and get moving on my day. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the great questions out there. If this video helped you out at all, a thumbs up would be very appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed to Tina's channel, you should go over and subscribe right now. She puts out a lot of great content and has a lot of great ins and outs to show you. And then our Facebook group is also down below too. So if you want to check out her channel or the Facebook group, links down there are, clickable, and you can go join us. All right, guys, take care and have a great day.
Have a great weekend.
Yeah.